What's going on, y'all? 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 It's David David. Oh man. What's going on, y'all? It's David David, and I decided that I wanted my first Genshin Impact video on this channel to be about something that'll be helpful to everyone who plays this game, whether you're free to play, like a giant whale, or just somewhere in between. In this video, I'll be covering the best 3-star weapons that I think that you should definitely keep and that you should definitely get to max refine 5 as soon as possible. I'll make sure to go over their effects, what characters will make the most out of the weapon, what areas in the game the weapon is best in, and where you can pick yourself up one to use. So first up we have the bows, or just bow singular because the only one that I have on this list is the Slingshot. The Slingshot at +5 refinement reads, if a normal attack or aim shot hits a target within 0.3 seconds of being fired, its damage is increased by 60%, otherwise it's reduced by 10%. So basically, you want to be up close and personal with your enemies when using this bad boy and get to know them very well. The secondary stat for the Slingshot is crit rate, which helps open up your artifact options because you won't need to have a crit rate hat, meaning you can throw on like some more attack percent or even crit damage percent. There are currently only 3 archers in the game, but luckily this bow is very versatile and works on all 3 of them. For Amber, with your E explosive puppet, you can draw on enemies to your bunny and use this time to get close safely to maximize your damage output. For Fischl, if you're too far away initially, using your Q, Midnight Phantasmagoria, will allow you to get close quickly for the Slingshot bonus whilst doing tons of damage with Oz. And lastly, for our favorite E-boy, Venti, you can either use your E Skyward Sonnet to float enemies and get close, or use your Q Wind's Grand Ode to group up enemies for slingshot shots. The Slingshot is best used in the overworld against smaller enemies where they can be CC'd and you're at a lesser risk at dying when getting close. It's not so great against like big bosses like Dvalin or Andreas because you either can't get close enough to them most of the time, or if you do get too close you could die very fast. You can pick yourself up a Slingshot from Wishing, and since it and every other weapon in this video is a 3-star, you're bound to come across at least one with all of the free pulls that they give you in the beginning. Next up, I have just one catalyst, the Thrilling Tales of the Dragon Slayers, and at +5 refinement it reads, when switching characters, the new character taking the field has their attack increased by 48% for 10 seconds. This effect can only occur once every 20 seconds, and yes, you did hear that right and read it correctly. Your attack is increased by 48%. That's just about a 1.5 times value attack buff, and all you have to do is switch characters, which is something you should be doing often anyways. The secondary stat on the Thrilling Tales is HP percent, which comes in handy because, as you might have guessed, this is mainly a weapon to equip on your supportive characters, giving them some extra bulk. The 2 catalyst users that can benefit the most from this are Barbara and Ningguang. This weapon is pretty much the perfect weapon for Barbara. It gives her an extra reason to swap to her for healing and now a large attack boost, and the HP percent bonus that she gets really beefs up her healing capabilities. Ningguang, on the other hand, can really make some great use out of this as a support character because her shield scales off of her HP percent, meaning that the thicker she is, the thicker her shield. The Thrilling Tales weapon is versatile in terms of where you can use it. You should pretty much always use it on Barbara if you have it max refined and she's on your team. However, I do recommend it on the Spiral Abyss because there are not very many healers, and since everyone gets Barbara for free, you pretty much have like no excuse to use it on her for Abyss. You can pick yourself up a Thrilling Tales from the Wish system. Now moving on to the Claymores, the first one that I have is the Bloodtainted Greatsword. The Bloodtainted Greatsword at +5 refinement reads, increases damage against enemies affected by Pyro or Electro by 24%. This one is fairly simple. Once you apply Pyro or Electro onto an enemy, your character equipped with this will get a pretty significant damage boost against that enemy. The secondary stat for the Bloodtainted Greatsword is bonus elemental mastery, making your reactions deal more damage. Now the obvious choices for this are Beidou, Dillik, and Razor because they are the only Pyro and Electro Claymore users. The secondary bonus combined with the passive create a very well balanced hybrid build for your characters, boosting their basic attack physical damage along with their elemental DPS with reactions. I definitely give this Claymore a go against the elite bosses because it's very easy to proc elemental reactions against them. You can pick yourself up a Bloodtainted Greatsword from the Wishing system. Next up I have a fan favorite that a lot of you probably already know about or have heard about somewhere, the Debate Club. A +5 refined Debate Club reads, after using an elemental skill, normal or charge attacks on hit deal an additional 120% attack damage in a small area. The effect lasts 15 seconds, and the bonus damage can only occur once every 3 seconds. This effect alone makes the weapon extremely potent, but it's the secondary stat of bonus attack percent that really puts the icing on the cake for this weapon. I'd recommend tossing the Debate Club on Beidou, Razor, or Chongyun. On Beidou, once you hit her 4th Ascension level, you gain increased attack speed after using a maximum damage E, Tidecaller. This attack speed really synergizes well with the Debate Club passive AoE attack that occurs after your elemental skill. Similarly on Razor, once you use your Q, Lightning Fang, your attack speed gets increased and you really make the most out of the Debate Club passive because your elemental skill is very spammable. However, on Chongyun, your E will make all of your attacks deal cryo damage, meaning that if you apply Hydro to enemies with someone like Barbara, you can spin with your charged attack and the Debate Club passive to repeatedly freeze and shatter enemies to deal massive damage. The Debate Club is best used on large mob of enemies where you can make the most out of your AoE attacks, so places like Domain and the Spiral Abyss. It gets a lot worse when fighting bosses or elite enemies where you really don't benefit from the AoE damage. You can pick yourself up a Debate Club from the wishing system. Next up, I have just one polearm, and this should go by quickly because right now we only have access to one polearm user, and that is Zhongling. The polearm that I recommend keeping and using is the White Tassel. At plus 5 refinement, the White Tassel reads, increases normal attack damage by 48%. Short and sweet ability, just how I like it. There's no stack BS or like conditional thing that you have to do, you just equip it and your normal attacks do extra damage. The secondary stat is crit rate, meaning that your hat artifact can be attack percent or crit damage percent instead of crit rate percent, helping you have a wider range of possible artifact combos. On Zhongling, bonus normal attack damage is amazing because she attacks very fast and very often in her basic attack combo, so this weapon really pays off. You can use her as a main DPS rather easily with some great backup support characters like Fischl or Barbara. Although if you're just building for normal attacks, you're better off fighting bosses because there isn't a lot of AoE damage going on there. You can pick yourself up a White Tassel from the various chests amongst your overworld, and depending on your adventure rank, one can even drop from a chest as low as the exquisite rarity. And now finally, we're moving on to the swords. The first sword that I have is the Cool Steel. The Cool Steel at max refinement reads, increases damage against enemies affected by Hydro or Cryo by 24%. This is pretty much the same thing as the Bloodtainted Greatsword, however the secondary stat for this one is bonus attack percent instead of elemental mastery. The Cool Steel is great on Kaya and Jingqi because of their respective elements. Kaya could potentially be used as a main DPS unit with a low E cooldown and fast attack animation. If you're missing Chongyun, he could fit the bill pretty well with the Cool Steel. Jingqi on the other hand is just more of a supportive unit that has the option to dish out damage whenever you switch him in for his abilities. The Cool Steel works really well against Hydro or Cryo slimes or the Hydro and Cryo elite bosses because of their element. It's probably best to use Kaya against the Hydro enemies. You can pick yourself up a Cool Steel sword from the Wish system. And last but certainly not least, I have the Skyrider Sword. At max refinement, the Skyrider Sword reads, using an elemental burst grants a 24% increase in attack and movement speed for 12 seconds. Sadly, this ability does not persist when switching out, but it does add a ton of mobility to your character to position better, resulting in possibly higher DPS upon switching. The best part about this sword, though, is the secondary stat of bonus energy charge. Elemental bursts are key in Genshin Impact for maximizing DPS, and having it up whenever it's off cooldown is really important. With that being said, the best units that I recommend this on are units that have very potent elemental bursts, such as Kaya and the Anemo Traveler. With Kaya, you can circle around enemies counterclockwise while attacking to make the most out of your elemental burst, and the bonus movement speed really makes this a whole lot easier. With the Anemo main character, your elemental burst is normally a hindrance because you just blow enemies away, but with this sword you can catch up to them in the tornado and then switch out to a better character with like a bow or a catalyst to DPS them down. With the high energy recharge rate, I recommend using the sword in the Abyss because even if you don't take full advantage of the passive ability, the energy recharge rate is honestly just perfect enough to chain elemental bursts. You can pick yourself up a Skyrider Sword from the wishing system. And that, my friends, about does it for my first ever Genshin Impact video on this channel. Let me know what you thought of the video down in the comments below. What's your favorite weapon on this list? Did I miss one, or do you disagree with any of these? And while you're down in the comment section, if you could just toss me a like on the video or even a subscribe with notifications turned on, that would help my channel out a ton, and it would be so greatly appreciated of you guys. It would also give me the green light to make so much more amazing Genshin Impact content. I'm loving this game so much right now, and I have so many video ideas and content that I'd love to share with you guys, so just let me know by commenting, liking, or subscribing down below. And that's officially going to do for me. Come chat with me down in my Discord. The link's going to be in the description below, and I will check you all in my next video. See ya!
I've been searching for this all my life. You're just